2024 zobe akuwa amapiano kabza the small nabo maphorisa bazobethola ama gigs kobe kubizwa ophel thusi nabo boyti nabo banibani to come and speak ma campaign kobe kumnandi nje kobe kudlalo Sarafina sikhumbule apartheid abelunga ngeke baphathe and we will have completely lost everything about what needs to be done. Load shedding, crime, the SOEs, the fact that our economy is still not transformed, the fact that our education system is broken, and.
This is the Hustler's Corner.
Blessings and love. Good afternoon, 12 o'clock midday Central African time in Johannesburg. Brothers and sisters, hustlers and squatters, we're excited again. Guys, we're still not even on our 30th episode. Welcome to Virtual Mkhukhu on the Hustlers Corner platform. I'm quite excited. I think those who have been a part of the family know there's links in the description, whatever you might be looking for, any one of our platforms, anything we might be promoting, anything that we think might be good for some of you guys. Check out all of those links and click the link that you think is relevant to you. I'm excited again. It's a Monday. We are almost in September, but it's been cold. It's been cold as if we're like right in the middle of June. And I'm never alone. You can see I'm wearing my what like skogi, lesongas futumel. And we didn't tell each other. But as you know, Penuel is always in all black. But I just decided to join him today.
Sorry,
Oh, why? What's up?
So, I don't think I'm sick,
Yeah?
but my throat is a bit scratchy and I was coughing a little bit last night and this morning, so just to cabangela. But
You've actually been wearing
I think we're out in the open. Yeah, I was wearing it before I came here. But to clonipa my squatters, I need to be audible. But I'm good, Buddha. How are you?
So what's the mask for? Are you protecting other people, protecting yourself?
I'm protecting other people. So obviously with COVID, there was a lot of conspiracies, a lot of thoughts. There were talks about the mask doesn't really work. But a lot of people didn't catch flu during that time. And I think in life where you can do the responsible thing, Mkhukhu, stay home. We didn't need COVID to tell us that. Mkhukhu, try and minimize, because our germs are spread through contact and fluids.
Yeah.
So if you can just minimize, at least the spit and the whatever stays with me. So that's why I'll just shauka, just now I'm passing germs.
I mean, I'm
That's
cool,
all.
cool in that.
Awukuli?
I'm cool, man.
Oh, usebenzisa. Oh, ulabafana bo Dr. Sebi.
Umuntu wembiza, I mean,
So funny enough, I was watching the Dr. CB interview on the Rock Newman show.
yeah. That's an old interview. Have you checked
Very
it out?
old interview.
What an amazing interview.
Very old. I
Where he
think.
speaks about Oprah and them, about Obama and them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for any of the squatters who have never seen it, I think it's 56 minutes long. Really worth the listen. The guy never went to school, never went to tertiary. But according to him and according to apparently court records, he was able to cure AIDS, I think some cancer, lupus, and other things because he believed that the core of all illnesses lies in mucus. So for anyone who's interested in their health, in being better, I mean, if you look at pharmaceutical companies, they're not in the business of curing. They're in the business of managing what you have. So let me just say this quickly before we carry on. If flu is a virus, there is no cure for a virus currently. What that means is every time you buy cough syrup, every time you take about med lemon, you're just managing the symptoms. It's just so that the coffee is smoother. I'm a lozenge and all these things. Bacteria is something else, not a virus. Bacteria is something else. Any bacteria, that's where you take antibiotics.
Yeah, no need for a bring. Sure. Sorry. Go ahead.
Bacteria, you antibiotics.
Was that cayenne pepper?
Yes, this is cayenne pepper. Bacteria antibiotics. So obviously you can buy them over the counter, or you can take things like garlic, ginger, honey, lemon, cayenne pepper. There's a couple of things. People can go check them out on Google. These organic ways of cleaning out the bacteria. But there is no cure for a virus. So on a flu, you literally have to just ride it out. The best thing you can do is strengthen your immune system so that your body can fight it out easy, boom. But anyways, Dr. CB, the Rock Newman show, very great interview for people that care about their health and just getting better, especially as Africans. It's very important that we go back to what Abelungu now called herbal and organic and green. We've been doing it.
It's
so
funny,
we need to go back to that.
It's funny because when I was still young, I just never understood Amakamba, Nembiza, etc.
Yeah.
It was my mom who was trying to get me into that stuff. And I was just always very negative and against it. But over time, when I became a teenager and since, I've just been brought up through that, Ex-model
C schools. It's a conversation I've had with some of our elders. they believed and they probably were doing what was best. I'll just see ingane zethu to iy'kolo zabelungu, so they can live better lives. But when you there's a quote about when you send your kids to Julius Caesar and they come back as Romans, they sent us to a space that looked down on being African and African ways of living. So it demonized almost everything we're doing. Seeing ubaba wakhe hamba nempepho, ekhuluma nabadala nabaphansi, imbi zokuthatha. We were literally convinced that all of that was barbaric and demonic, and that's why we looked down on our own things. And now, as we get older, and that's why it's important that we meet more of izangoma, izinyanga, and other spiritual herbal healers, because those people are in the business of curing. Big Pharma is in the business of managing symptoms. So I'm glad that we're here now. But I'm glad that we're here now because now we can teach other people how to cure what you have and not just manage the symptoms.
It's an incredible thing. I remember during the middle of COVID when a lot of people were asking me about vaccines and all of those things. I just didn't even want to get involved or post or talk about any of that type of stuff.
You were going to get cancelled.
I decided to go, not even research, but I think we were all forced to research somehow during COVID. But mina nje vele ngumuntu wembiza. That's how I answered everybody. I was like, guys, ngicela ningangifaki lezo zinto. Mina ngumuntu wembiza, ngumuntu wesintu, ngumuntu wemithi yesintu. Ngicela ningiyekele, don't compare yourselves with me.
Sure.
To each their own. And that's how I just, that's how I publicly got everybody to understand what I was on and how I was just, being healthy and just how I was. And then I refused to get into the vaccine conversation because I also saw a lot of people's accounts were getting blocked.
Yeah.
People were getting canceled. And I kind of felt it was unfair and I didn't want to get into the mix. I just decided, okay, let me just write the statement. So some of the people that follow me that want to know, like Sbuda, no, mina ngumuntu wembiza ungayingami. So to each their own.
Thank you.
I see you've also shaven.
I have. Yes, it was starting to get warm.
That's why. So I checked you out,
warm.
and then I checked out last week's episode. Like, oh, lo muntu ngitshela ngesihlutu sami. Nakaqeda yena uyagunda.
Yeah, angifuna abantu bathi ngoba sesiphuza ama fire sesiqala ukugula ngamakhanda. Usibugula yedwa guys, ngingangifaki. I'm kidding. No man, African New Year is coming. It's rebirth. It's the blossoming and blooming of trees. It was getting warmer. I don't know about the cold front manje. So just fresh head ngishawa umoya nengqondo yami ikwazi just ukushawa umoya ngikwazi ukucabanga kahle. That's all it was, nothing deep.
No, but you look good.
I wasn't trolling you.
No,
it's excellent. Bekusibu yedwa isifuthe sakhe yedwa. Intshebe isekhona.
I know it's got nothing to do with me. But I can see even the grays becoming a little bit more, just like
spending time. We're not even. You were saying the virtual Mkhukhu is not even 30 episodes in. We're still a baby. We're not even 1 year old. The impact that we've made, I believe, in this country, the impact we've made on squatters and other people, is quite inspiring even to me. And I guess in the little time that we've spent together, I think Connie wisdom is again, and I guess it's coming out in these white hairs and this nchebe. By next year ngobe sengimhlophe ngempela sengipusha wisdom yang ngempela.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, Nami, let me say in these few episodes that we've had, it's been an incredible period knowing you, and it's been great learning from you.
Thank you.
And you're an amazing person. I just wish you nothing but the best. And it makes me happy to just keep on seeing your voice grow and keep on getting amplified. Why? It's because I think you put in work, and you've understood this internet and online space, and you're not stingy with information.
Sure.
You're sharing information for as often as possible. Every other time I get into any one of your platforms, you're just sharing a new video, sharing new information. It's not a lot of people that do that. So you must know it's appreciated.
Thank you.
And I think I speak for a lot of people, people who are learning from you. So I'm one of those. So big up, keep doing it. If you can, even do more of it. You know what I mean?
I'm just succession planning, passing on the baton. Yourself, people that came before you, the ones that had the spirit of education and passing on and uplifting. Nati, we're just carrying on the journey. I've given you props many times before. You've inspired us not just in education, but in hustling and in fixing our lives. You've given kids scholarships, etc. So I'm just carrying on the legacy. And I'm hoping sooner rather than later, I'm also going to find younger guys than me so I can also put them on and pay homage to everyone who came before us. Guys, each candle lights another one. Each one teach one. And that's how we make the world better.
That's incredible. The first thing I want to talk about is the 23rd of September is African New Year. And we have decided with...
Sorry to disturb us, but
no problem
otherwise,
at all. Do your thing. Maybe let me just talk about it. African New Year, we're leaving on the... just do a one shot there quickly. On the 21st, we are leaving Johannesburg on the 21st. I'm going to repeat. The 21st of September, we are leaving Johannesburg to Mpumalanga. We are leaving at 9 in the morning. This is an initiative by the Great Empire of Kemet movement under the leadership of Mkhukhu, who is the CEO of the Zinzi Mandela Foundation, whom we've interviewed a couple of times on the platform. And some of the things that came out of the platform were so inspirational and we learned so much. But we decided we'll also use some of our expertise, some of our resources, and somehow just to throw some weight. Myself and Peño, Butorut Boy Paul, Umfogamnisi, we even ended up getting joined by Usismandisa Mashekho and a whole lot of other people, including the entire Great Empire of Kemet movement. It's a group of people that Mkhukhu leads, and we've contributed or we've come together to form this amazing, from the 21st September up until the 24th or 25th of September tour to Mpumalanga. Where are we going? We're going to a place called Inzalo Yelanga. When the great Mkhukhu, may so rest in peace, Credo Mutua passed on, he spoke highly of a place called Inzalo Yelanga, and he said, us as young people need to research and know about our history. And for us to know a lot about our history, you can't know about your history if you don't know what is Inzalo Yelanga and the significance of it. But obviously right now, if you Google it on the internet, it's called the Adams Calendar, which pisses off Mkhukhu so much. He doesn't like it being called Adam's Calendar. But yeah, that's where the trip is going to be taking us to. But it's just an educational trip. As we've just been speaking, Nopenyo Konamanja, we're all about education. Even this platform is all about education. So when we kind of felt we've invited a guest that is giving us so much knowledge, and here is knowledge that has been preached by Mkhukhu to Credo Muta, and is knowledge that we feel as a platform we can contribute somehow, to sort of make his dream come true of us, even if no matter how few we can be, whether it's 10 of us, whether it's 20 of us, or 40 of us, or just 100 of us, that's even a lot. For us to just go and experience the African New Year, which happens on the 23rd of September. On the 23rd, we will be on the mountains, Silindela, La Payana, what they would call in Slunga a night visual on the mountains. That's where the sun first comes out. When the sun comes out in South Africa, there's a first spot that it hits. It hits in that spot in Inzalo Yelanga. And there's also a beautiful, good explanation that comes from Mkhukhu. He'll explain it properly, which was explained by Ukoko Credo Muta, the significance of that space and why there is a Stonehenge. And, just go check out that episode where he spoke about Inzalo Yelanga, I spoke about the African calendar. So if you'd like to join us, we are leaving on the 21st. We're going to come back on the weekend. Remember that on that weekend, we're also celebrating Heritage Month. Heritage Day, Heritage Day on the day as well. And you are more than welcome to join us on that trip. So there's some of those links in the description. The first link is a link that takes you to the tickets. So purchase the ticket. The ticket gets you accommodation, transport, and all these different things. But other people will prefer to drive themselves, in their own cars. So we'll have a convoy. Basically, that link explains to you everything. Anything you might just want to ask about our trip to Inzalo Yelanga from the 21st of September until the weekend of the 24th. We'll be coming back on the 24th, and then on the 25th, we're going to have an event, just having fun at the Credo Mutua village in Soweto. That's going to be on a Sunday, the 25th of September, when we come back from Mpumalanga. Just have a great time to celebrate African music, celebrate African New Year, and it's something that we're hoping over the years it's going to be amplified and grow even into something bigger that might end up attracting even people from all over the world. That's what I think, and that's why we are contributing.
Sticking to education, some of the things that I've been finding out, I just haven't done the research per se. Apparently, I'm a Xhosa in South Africa. Again, I stand to be corrected, and I hope some of our Xhosa squatters maybe can correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm a Xhosa, apparently, their New Year is in June. I'm going to go and do research on that to find out the significance of those things. And apparently, people from the ZCC Church actually have their new year in September as well. So I think it's a very interesting time for especially Black Africans to reclaim our identity as people, to reclaim our continent, and to, where possible and where relevant, begin getting rid of some of these Western concepts that were brought in here because they no longer serve us. The ones that serve us, of course, we keep them. But if you're bringing us a fat white Santa with the big nchebe, and that doesn't really speak to us and it doesn't add value, then let's rather find out what did we believe in and rather bring that. And if Mkhulu Nsingiza, a DJ Sbu, a Koko Credo Mutwa is who we should rather be celebrating than a random Father Christmas Ngamaz, then let's rather do that and find our identity and our expression in the world. And I think that is actually what will bring tourists here, because when they come here, at least they'll experience something authentically African and authentically us.
And he did say, Mkhulu Nsingiza, Subu, which place in this continent, hot as it is, has ever had snow around Christmas, around the 25th of December?
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
If it was June, somewhere in the Lesotho mountains. Otherwise, it's summer here in South Africa. It makes no sense to be celebrating a winter holiday here. It's a nice gesture, it's great, but it's not African. So we have the power to change it. Let's change it.
So click the link in the description, and if you can, join us. Let's all have a great time. Let's go to Inzalo Yelanga. Let's go and learn. It's a teachable trip, and it's going to be a beautiful experience of just us meeting some of our squatters and hustlers. It was great to meet them at the farm.
Yeah.
So I think this one will be even a bit bigger. There'll be even maybe more of a crowd that'll come with us. So we'll all learn, because I'm also looking forward to be learning some more about our history, you know?
Sure. I once attended Bushfire Eswatini.
There's a bushfire.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing festival. Very cosmopolitan, very international. A lot of international guests there. If Inzalo Yelanga can be something, not the same, but similar in celebration and in bringing people together with music, with food, with education, with finding self, I really think it's got the power to transform. And I think as the years go by, some of the stories and the testimonials we'll get from there, where someone was lost, someone was depressed, someone wasn't really sure of their parents or their history, that pilgrimage to Inzalo Yelanga might become their pivoting point in their life. And people are going to come back and say, I found myself, or I found my people, or I found my sound. I was a musician, I was making umculo that wasn't actually speaking to my soul. I found food that is now healing me. I found people who are now maybe my partners. I now have children with this person. I've maybe even settled in Mpumalanga. I'm part of the organization, and I actually found a job. I'm hoping that in future we're going to get some of those testimonials, and I'm going to try and help to push as much of that as possible.
Let me also mention, when I say hustlers and squatters, I must also mention chillers, because I think we've got a lot of chillers on our platform, because we're all family. So shout out to all the chillers as well. We know we are all one family. Let's move on to a very, very sad news that I heard last week. The passing of Tukulo Shabalala, one of my biggest Kwaito artists of all time. For me, somebody that I've always loved. I've always been a big fan of Tukulo. From before I got into the entertainment industry, I've always listened to Tukulo. I heard sad news last week that he passed on, you know?
Yeah.
And he was laid to rest a few days ago. So may soul rest in peace, Tukulo Shabalala, who was a part of Mashamplan. He was also he's had a successful solo career, and he was also part of TKZ. Did you know Tukulo?
I knew him very well. Not very well. No, let me take that back. I knew him very well as an artist. A short story, when I was in grade 7 in 1998, I was part of a group of 3 kids that were picked from my hometown in Newcastle, KwaZulu, to go and promote a board game, an educational board game, on a platform called the Breakfast Club, I think it was called at the time, at the SABC. It was my first time at the SABC. I was excited. I was a little skinny boy, Afronyana. And as we were waiting in the waiting room, there were these guys, and I think they just released their debut album at the time, chilling there, you know. I'd come to later realize that was the TKZ, Kabelo, Uzwai, Tukulo, and they went on to literally change and to become a huge impact in the music landscape in South Africa. I mean, if you think of Benny's in the 18 area, to this day, that's a classic. And at a time when all of us thought we were going to France, there was the emotional period where Magesh had an incident, I don't know if it was in Botswana, where there was a chance of him potentially being found guilty and maybe even being hung. Because I'd like to think Botswana still has the death penalty there, where all of us were holding our breath. We were very happy with his coming back. And with what's happening now, it's a sobering moment. It's a reminder that we're not going to be here forever. It's a reminder to appreciate our family, our friends. iTKZ had started touring again, so it came suddenly, and I think it's hurt a lot of people. And Jobangisho, it's a time to reflect for all of us. We're not going to be here forever. This could be your last day on earth. So how do you make the most of now? How do you make sure that you ignite your dreams? Because no one is waiting for you to ignite your dreams. Ignite your dreams. If you need to move to Joburg, to Cape Town, overseas, this is the time to do it. Go and find cool people. I don't know if they were all studying at St. Stithians, in Joburg. Abafana ba private school. The Bala family, obviously, Ozwai, Oloyi, so I think Upelo as well. Spend time with your family, build with your family. Music has united us in amazing, amazing ways. And I remember for a long time, my favorite song on earth was We Love This Place. I think it's got DJ Fresh in the video.
Yeah.
He's going to be missed from my side, as someone who didn't know him personally like that, but as someone whose music, along with Amachite TKZ, transformed my life.
Yeah, they transformed my life too. I wanted to become a Kwaito artist when the TKZ guys were doing it. The Kwaito sound has always been that sound that became a voice for young people at the time in the country. We're moving from more of the music being very conscious. I remember Abu Bablondi were doing like camaraderie type of music. We wanted to be free. And, he was singing Zabalazo songs. And the music sort of changed after 1994, and Kwaito just became that voice where young people were expressing themselves through this art form, that was just liberating them, getting them out of the hood. And it just became this genre that became a culture, just like what Americans would say hip hop, and for us we would at the time say Kwaito. And arguably even now, I would say Amapiano for me is Kwaito. Other people would say Amapiano is a baby of Kwaito, is a subgenre of Kwaito. And then I would say, but back then, Zwei was very musical. He was playing that piano. And if you listen to a lot of the music that was made even before TKZ, the LM Jam sound, Lindelani and Mdu, especially Mdu no Speaker.
Sure.
Speaker, yeah, bruh. Sure.
I just want to send a shout out on behalf of Zwei, because I was a choir boy for a chunk of my life. The Drakensberg Boys Choir, KwaZulu, an amazing choral school. Anyone who's got kids, sons in particular, that are good singers, it opens them up to the world because they get to travel the world. Oloiso knows why were like lead soloists for many years there. And I think his musical background is why Noloiso, Nopelo in particular, comes from the Drakensberg Boys Choir School.
That's totally true. So, that's what I wanted to say.
Amachite Kalawa, you were saying, Uspigiri.
Yeah, I was speaking.
Legends.
They've been really, really dope when it comes to making music that was sonically beautiful. If you look at it now and say, 3, 4, 5 years ago, we're listening to hardcore Amapiano. That was boom, and it was just about the gimmicks, about the beautiful sound and music that we loved and we still love as Amapiano. I think over the past few years, it has sort of evolved into becoming even more musical.
Sure.
And I'm just making an example for the newer generation right now, for them to understand what I'm trying to say. When I say back then, Kwaito was hardcore. Had about
Mandoza and the boys.
You know what I mean? May soul rest in peace. But relax. But people, and it was just that hardcore sound. And I mean, there was about CB, there was about, you can't talk about the birth of Kwaito and not mention Arthur 999.
Yes.
You can't talk about the Kwaito days or the rapping or the evolving of the South African youth sound at the time and not speak about the late great Sinyaka, may soul rest in peace as well. Had a very, very big contribution. At some point, he had a diss song. Him and the late great Mama Prr.
Sure.
I don't know if you know that beef.
I don't.
You don't know about the beef?
I don't know about the beef.
Yo, guys, I'm old, yo. No, before that.
Jeez.
Excel why? Who's under my chance? You don't know the track.
That song sounds familiar. That song sounds familiar.
Track. And then Mama Prr responded. You don't know that song?
Speaking about diss tracks, I'm just going to mention this quickly. There's a new, I don't know if it's called a diss track, released by Big Zulu.
Yeah,
hip-hop track.
150 bars, right?
Jeez, yeah.
So it started then, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Umama get dropped like a killer diss track, which became a December hit while responding to Sinyaga. But anyway, summarizing the story, I wanted to say, at some point, music was called bubblegum.
Yeah.
You know, before that generation. Our parents now,
Sure.
who were made to what they would call bubblegum music,
Sure.
or was called disco music. Influenced by, obviously, Americans at the time, big afros, bell bottoms, abo cheek to cheek,
Yeah.
abo yalazi timer, ubaba hashel mhlophe.
Mazgash.
Incredible,
I know
incredible
him and his
musician.
entire family, and his family is doing well. I know his daughters are on TV. The one's on, she does news, I think, for the SAPC. The other one is on a reality show. I know the two sons. Huge fan of the family.
Yes.
Yeah.
The mother, she was Ebony at
Umam
the time.
Ebony, yeah.
Umam Ebony. Back in the day, she was a huge disco star.
Jeez.
Or as they would call it, bubblegum music star. She was big.
Inkathi zombhaqanga.
Yes, she was
Yeah.
big, bro. And not only her, did you know that Umam Rebecca Malope, before she evolved into gospel music, she was doing what was Kwaito then?
Jeez, I had no idea.
Bubblegum, like disco.
I had no idea.
Mina ngizobatola. Ngiyababona bangazi. She had like a chico. You guys are laughing, yeah. Guys, it's like now I'm lying. Like I'm showing my age, but I'm also trying to, school the new cats that,
Yeah.
what we are all doing is nothing new. Like it's been done since back in the day.
Yeah.
They're older now. They're just watching us as their children, but it's something they've done.
The history of South African music. Ikwaito actually was post-apartheid, the sound of post-apartheid South Africa.
Yes. Post-apartheid, celebrating the freedom at the time, a voice for young people, hardcore, brash, they could say whatever they could say.
Yeah.
If you make an example now and say, there was just, back in the day in 2020 or 2022 in South Africa, there was just these new voices of young people who are on the internet,
Yeah.
who are podcasting, imagine that history being told 2050
Yeah.
or 2070,
Yeah.
decades from now. So anyway, how I wanted to relate that to the TKZ guys is the TKZ guys came and made Kwaito. I always say they took Kwaito from the hood to the suburbs.
Sure.
They made Kwaito appeal to the Model C kids. They put in some beautiful English in Kwaito. Some good
Sure.
let me say, they not only just put Kwaito to the models, to the suburbs, brought Kwaito to the suburbs, but they made it more musical.
Yes.
Just as you were saying, Zwei, he even recruited his brother Uloiso. Shout outs to Uloiso at a later stage.
Konikas.
Yeah.
2001.
Through
Jeez, what about fiasco?
TKZ family, they
Sure.
recruited Loiso. They called their sound Gaz Love.
Yeah.
Like that, they called it Gaz, Gaz sound.
Sure.
So that Gaz sound was, Kwaito had a lot of critics who used to say, Kwaito artists are just one-liners.
Sure.
All they know
One
is just,
song, one line,
just a gimmick.
uyipindile, sure.
yeah, yazi ngiyakuthanda.
Sure.
Kusheshe la. Kusheshe. But Tukolo evolved from just doing about Kusheshe. You started hearing his music having bars. You started hearing some rap in there. You started hearing some overseas influence into their music when they came together in Abu Kabza. But then Zwei brought in that touch, the piano sound, the sonic. It just became so musical. And they became, not even arguably, the biggest or greatest Kwaito group of all time in South Africa. For me, it was the first time seeing young people living their lives, doing what they love, succeeding in it. They became successful at it. I remember at some point, Kabzangwana, as a young 20-something-year-old driving Abo Z3. Abo Z3 then.
I think I
maybe
remember
it's-
that.
Maybe it's what you would call
Wasn't it
right
silver
now.
grey?
I don't remember the
Jeez,
color.
I remember the Z3.
I remember Magesh. You know what? Right now, it's Abo Pachu. But those days, they did a great job in marketing the all-star sneakers and made us feel like all-star, yes, Ekasi.
Sure.
But for me, because I identified with, the shoe so much, I identified with the guys so much, it was beautiful to see young cats in their all-stars jumping into Jaguars,
Yeah.
Magesh was in a Jaguar, bro. Like back in the day, in their early 20s, Kabelo in his Z3s, convertibles, in their shorts, in their vests, ngeyipoti.
Upansula for
I was
life.
like, yeah, so they were not against the status quo,
Yeah.
but they were just being themselves.
Yeah.
And it was just not what we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing these business people, these old people in these types of cars. But here are young people doing what they love, and this is the life they're living, and this is the type of music they're making. And for me, I decided this is what I want to do with my life. So it's because of them. And when I got into it, and not me, I'm talking about when I became a bigger fan of their music. Mashamplan Tukolo moved, was working with Umtu Masilela,
Sure.
MDU Records at the time. Moving from Mashamplan to go start another group. Before he started this group with Zwei and Kabelo,
Sure.
he went solo. He did about Titit. I don't know if you remember that.
don't know Jeez, I don't know.
I went on one side, you know. Oh, anyway. Hey guys, they don't even know these songs I'm talking
No
about.
way.
Anyway, about Kusheshe. And then TKZ came.
Sure.
And then there was the success of TKZ for many years. And then after the success of TKZ, Kabelo and Tukolo also went solo again. More successful solo singles, solo albums.
Yeah.
And they've just had a
I know
success-
Uzwai went a bit more classical during that time. He was conducting orchestras and
he remained true to himself.
Yeah, of course.
And that's the reason why TKZ was TKZ.
because they were complementary.
Exactly. Zwei brought that knowledge. You know, Kwai, Abatin Kabza brought his rapping skills and, you know, his American influence of rapping and just doing 16s, and he was good at it.
Yeah.
And Magesh as well, with his bars, but with that township lingo, with just that laid-back type of style, being Magesh,
Yeah.
you know? Geshi, you know, they changed our lives, man. They changed the sound of South African music forever. And with that being said, I just want to say, may his soul rest in peace. I remember when we used to still go around different record labels, Hambi Sama Demo.
Sure.
Tukolo's sister, Sis Dineo. I've not seen her in many years. She worked for record companies, so she was very highly experienced in the music space.
Yeah.
Tukolo was in the music space as well. The guys became huge. The guys became brands.
Yeah.
As we know Kabelo still today. He's
Yes.
maintained that brand all the way
Yes.
till today. As we know Zwei till today. And as the country is mourning the sadness, the passing of Utukolo. So may his soul rest in peace. I remember their singles, Nabo Mandoza. I remember about Tulitili, about TK. I remember about Number One Tsotsi. About It's Alright. Remember the track that used to go la 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 la. Oh la 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 la. It's alright. You
No,
remember
I know
it?
I know it.
Mandoza no Magesh. Kabza no Magesh. Ish, Mandoza no Magesh.
As I'm scared if we
It's
start speaking about
alright.
music, we'll speak forever. Because I've got so many things to
Yes,
add
man.
to what you're saying. You know, the way the guys fused Township and Model C or Private, you're very right that it was fresh at the time. It was Intwana Zabotaki, Ekasi, but they were studying Nabo Ngamla, and they decided to fuse that together. And it's making me think of even Osiso Thandiswa Mazwai and her sister Unsigi, who also came from Model C, upper class backgrounds, but then they went on this journey to find their African identity, and they're able to be African and also understand Lempilo Abelung. And I believe someone even like Lauryn Hill overseas, well-off family, went to a Jewish school, white neighborhood, but then went on to find her black consciousness side, and then united with the Mali family
And fuse their sound
and
into
fuse
hip-hop.
their sound. Like it's absolutely amazing, and it is part of the history we need to speak about and we need to preserve as much as possible. It's a story of our life, and music actually becomes a soundtrack to our lives. Jobu khuluma ngo All Star, ngicabanga ngo Loction Culture, ngicabanga amajiti Alaska, iTrompis.
Yeah.
There's too much to tell about those times. I may not be as knowledgeable as you, but even as Intwana, those are soundtracks to our lives. You can play that and I'll tell you, no, ngangina 16, ngiqala ukuthola icheri yami yokuqala. You know, it Girls 2001, which was a classic album. I got it from my brother,
That album, bruh.
who got it from a friend of his at school. I was still a choir boy. And my favorite song on that album was actually
We love
a
this
song-
place, as you were saying.
We Love This Place was my best song in the
Oh,
world.
okay, yeah.
I met a girl without a name.
Oh, yeah, Girl Without a Name.
Which Loiso actually
Loiso,
wrote while he
yeah.
was still a teenager.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they decided to add that type of song in a Kwaito album, which was fresh. And to what you're saying, it was them being themselves.
And being experimental.
Very experimental.
sound, you know?
Yeah. Oh, Khwaiza and the yes.
And then they wrote in Mkhukhu.
Oh, Mkhukhu.
Mkhukhu, rest in peace. Tra-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta.
Jeez.
Shalanala. Ay, guys. Aish.
Oh, Shake Isbunu Sak.
Oh boy, fiasco. Para-pa-pa-pa-pa.
Classic.
Para-pa-pa-pa-pa.
Classic.
Abo summer 2000. 2000. Awuna unyago mush. Abathi baplap. Asesla. Abathi bambam tuana chisa nyama. Sisonke ne. Asiwa ne. Our Tino Yassas, we're good players. But to black money makers, our rest in peace, Magesh.
Jeez, Magesh.
Oh man, my heart was so last week. May his soul rest in peace, man.
My sympathies and condolences to all the loved ones he's left behind. Obviously to all his fans, including ourselves. Yeah, man, please, let's make sure that the stars and the icons that we've lost, we preserve their legacies and we build on top of them. There's nothing stopping us. When I think of Abo Bongani Fas, Nabo the LES, Nabo Ishmael, there's nothing stopping us today in sampling some of the music from Amachita and fusing it with
This is all my
Amapiano,
brothers
hip hop.
in the corner.
Yeah.
Oh man.
There's
Hey,
nothing wrong
music,
with us
bro.
preserving these are our legends. Let's take their music and let's keep it alive.
And I just want to say, guys, the reason why ngigcizelela kule issue yomculo, I hope the newer guys who are hot now understand ukuthi umculo awuboli.
Yeah.
The music that you guys be making, make the right decisions with it, do the right deals, register a publishing company, do as much right as you think you may or can with the music in terms of ownership, because that is not just going to die with you when you die. It's going to live on forever. So if you look at Magesh khona manje, imagine the wealth of catalog that is leaving. Phela he had hits even Naguma Shamplan. He had hits of his own as a solo artist. He had hits with TKZ. He had more hits as a solo artist afterwards. Nabo Jera. He went on to have a very, very successful solo career. So I want to say to the guys that are killing it now, that are doing it now, not only Amapiano, all the different genres,
Yeah.
music is gonna outlive you. It's gonna live on forever. I've got my own catalog of like a lot of hits and classics that is gonna live on forever. That is gonna look after my kids way after I'm gone. Same as we speak about Abu Michael Jackson.
Sure.
Abu Michael Jackson, because the reason why he's got a $1 billion estate is because of his writings, because of his music that is left with his family estate. So remember that, guys, that at some point, in your 20s or in your early 30s, you're still starting out this music thing, or you've got hits, you're at the top of your game. That music, that catalog is going to forever look after the lives of your children. And you may ask, like, how? Because at that time it'll be old. Because it'll be forever sampled. And you don't know who's going to sample it. Is it going to be a Hollywood blockbuster movie that gets to be on that level of Abu Black Panther, or that gets to be on that level of Abu Lion King, where it becomes a song that is included in some musical that's going to pay you forever? Just like you guys were listening to Ukhrot Manwe, to Bablebu M on McG's podcast and chill episode, where he was talking, and I've interviewed him before as well, talking about the right deals and the decisions that he made when he was making the music to the Lion King. And that's why he's wealthy and forever be wealthy, because of the right decisions that he made in terms of his publishing. And instead of taking a quick check, rather playing the long game and doing the right deals in terms of his publishing with his music. Now the Lion King is all over the world. He'll forever be paid, even if he passes on.
Crazy.
His children are going
Absolutely
to inherit
crazy.
money forever. So you never know when or who or how is your music going to make money in the future for your children. Just recently, Pro Kids Music, McDonald's adverts, and all these different things, where we even decided to give to Pro Kids family the masters back. And you know, Pro's kid, yeah, Nonkaye's got a trust, and that trust is, in his absence, making money that is in future going to be educating his child.
Beautiful.
Through his music.
Beautiful.
So make those right decisions right now, guys, as far as your music is concerned. Magesh has just shown us that you can make great music, you can have classic albums, but nobody's immune to passing on. We're all gonna pass on. One day you're gonna wake up in the morning and hear I'm no longer around or whatever. And one day we're gonna wake up and hear you no longer around. Did you make the right decisions as far as the long game is concerned?
Just in closing, I've heard a crazy story about Sting. Sting gets paid by P. Diddy for the Missing You song, because they sample a song that Sting did. I don't know if
Missing You.
I don't know if the rumor is millions of dollars per day or per week or per month, but it's ridiculous.
Sting, with his own words, says it's $2,000 a day.
Jeez.
He says it's $2,000 every day.
For a sample.
That's 30,000 rand every day. Yeah, that Diddy pays him. For a
Anyways,
sample.
yeah. Good
So
education.
Let me mention this as well that I've never mentioned anywhere else. For people who don't know, we made a beautiful track. Shout out to Stethoscope. We sampled the Josh Groban classic called Remember When It Rained.
Yeah.
We did things the right way, man. And shout outs to Mr. Leslie Sidibe at the time. He was our lawyer and helping us. And, you know, we're going back and forth with the overseas people. Abantu Baga Josh Groban. and we had planned to release an album in November that year. I think it was 2006. We started hitting up Josh Groban's people around end of June.
Sure.
July, August, September, October. Joe, up until a point where we're supposed to release this. It's now festive season.
Yeah.
And we started taking it to radio. We decided, these people are not coming back. Let's just release this thing.
Sure.
We released that thing. As soon as we released Remember When It Rained,
Yeah.
they immediately came back to us because we're also getting pressure from Abu Faisal. There used to be a very big music store or music group in the country, not Musica, but a group called Reliable Warehouse.
Yes, I remember
It was
Reliable.
owned by Faisal, you know? And they used to sell physical CDs and cassettes and records.
Sure.
Shout outs to those who've been collecting records from back in the day. I'm even thinking of Kohino back in the day in the streets of Johannesburg. So I've always been a music collector. So anyway, we thought we want to get permission from those guys. When time went on, we decided, let's release this. They
Sure.
came back to us, cease and desist, or whatever they call it in legal language. We had to stop everything.
Stop playing the song.
We had to, get back all the copies but because it was already out and because when it hit radio, it became an instant hit.
Yeah.
We're like, what are we going to do, guys?
Yeah.
We already have a hit.
Yeah.
And then somebody said, but it's already a hit. Why don't we just, get somebody else to sing it and just pay them that sample fee?
Yeah.
Musicians sometimes do a session fee wherein I can choose and say, I'm going to sing, but I want to be a part of the song. Don't pay me anything. I want part of the royalties. I want to play the long game.
Sure.
Or there's just musicians who just do, what do they call it? Session.
Sure.
Even guitarists or pianists, or I can just come and contribute in your song
Sure.
and you just pay me and I'm out of it. I don't have any ownership in that song.
Sure.
I just did my session
Sure.
and you paid me for it and I'm out of it. I've got no ownership, nothing.
Sure.
Anyway, that's what we did with a brother called Wade Duplessis. Shout outs to Wade, who came and said, I can do this voice. Actually, I think that was one of the guys we had worked with. I think it was it Chris Palmer? I think it was Chris Palmer who said, I know somebody. He's a white boy.
Sure.
Beautiful, beautiful voice. His name is Wade. He can kill this voice.
Sure.
Exactly as it is, just like Josh Groban. And Wade did a great job.
Sure.
So Wade came, we paid him a session fee. Although later on, Wade came when the song became a hit and he said,
royalties. Royalties.
Those things happen in the music industry. But to cut the long story short is, I'm trying to drive to a point where I want to say, whenever you hear Remember When It Rained, little did I know it'll become one of the biggest songs I've ever made. Till today, not even a single cent, not even 1% in publishing. Stethoscope, myself, TS Records, none of us till today are getting paid out of that Remember When It Rained house remix.
Why not?
Yeah, because his people have said no. And they said, actually, for the logo, we're not even going to give you guys 20 or 25% or whatever. We're taking the entire 100% publishing. They refused.
This is Josh Groban's people.
Yeah.
Are they getting paid?
Joe,
For that song,
every
for
time
your
when South
song.
Africa plays Remember When It Rained, it's Josh Groban that's getting paid 100%.
Jeez.
I've never gotten a single cent.
This is scary.
I've never gotten a single cent out of that song. This is scary, yeah. I was young. But also...
You're telling me we can't sit with lawyers now and try and make another deal?
We had done it we've done everything the right way.
Yeah.
We probably might if we negotiate. I don't know. But they refused. And over the years, I've always been since the...
It's worth a relook.
Yeah, I think it is. As the social media started becoming bigger, I've always reached out to Josh Groban. Sure. Every time, even Naman, when I go to my DMs, Josh Groban Mhlalang Blutik. I've sent him over 20 messages over the past decade. Josh Groban probably doesn't even know me.
Yeah.
But he just over DJ Spoo in South Africa.
But him and his team are getting paid from your creativity.
And why am
Why
am I revealing that information? It goes back to what I was saying to young guys who are doing it now. Make the right decisions, make the right deals as far as your music is concerned. Music's going to live on forever. Even when I pass on, it'll be played even more. And they'll forever make that money.
Sure.
I'm not even making a single cent out of that Remember When It Rained remix. Remember, it wasn't my song. It was his song. So that I'm making those examples so that my mistakes, I've already paid the school fees for you guys. You guys don't have to repeat the same mistakes.
Boom.
Do things the right way. Although we have tried to do things the right way. But till today, I can imagine how much money I could have made
Jeez.
my publishing just out of that one song.
Jeez.
But I didn't. But those things sometimes happen.
Yeah. Life is too short to only learn from your own mistakes and failures. So where you can try and learn from the mistakes and failures of other people, they've already paid the school fees. So when I just take the experience and move. What a sad story. It needs a relook. Ning five my royalties about wait.
But you know what I did?
So that when we're winning 20 million wait.
But you know what I did?
Sure.
I was like, no, this song is huge.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit back and cry into some little corner over publishing. This song can actually even make me bigger.
Yeah.
This song is even starting to appeal to the Indian market that didn't even know me, to some certain pockets of some white people who didn't know I existed,
Sure.
who I was. I was like, I'm going to ride the wave and I'm going to build the DJ Smooth brand
Beautiful.
out of this album. And I didn't sit back and cry and say, yeah, just Groban this, just Groban that. I'm saying it now because we're an educational platform,
Sure.
teachable moment. But I've never gone to the media or I've never complained. I decided, okay, how do I look at this entire experience in a positive way and make it work for me? And that's when I was like, okay, cool. I'll build the DJ Smooth brand out of this big album. Luckily, I thought like that at that time.
Sure.
I guess that's why I'm still sitting even here over to. So I can complain, but at the same time, there's a lot of positive spin-offs based on how I approached everything that came out of that experience.
You
know?
could still gig and play the song.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Even till today.
Solid.
I gigged, I got endorsements, I got TV shows, I started getting radio shows.
Off the
I just
song.
went all...
It's just the publishing you
I
couldn't
mean,
get.
it's not only it wasn't the only song that was big on the album.
Sure.
The album went on to become a classic. I mean, I think there were 5 or 6 other big tracks on the album, but it was the biggest,
Sure.
right? And it was the first single.
Sure.
Usually it'll become the biggest. But what did I do? I made sure that I go all out to maximize on the success of the song, even if it wasn't paying me.
That's beautiful. No, thanks a lot, Buddha. Yo, cheers. Thina sisafuna ukwenza umculo. Maybe one day. There's a lot to learn. No, thank you.
There's a lot to learn in this music industry. Earlier on, when we were having a chat, you and I, off the record, we're bigging up the guys for growing and evolving even into bringing politicians on their platform, the Podcast and Chill platform that you were on 2 weeks ago.
I'm going to claim it. I'm going to claim it. We influenced them. I'm going to claim it.
Yeah.
I think from virtual Mkhukhu and some of the political minds, some of the activists we brought on, I think there was that hunger for getting politicians and hearing what they're saying. And we went on, I think it was ENCA, with JJ Tabane, with MacGyver, David Mashabela. And even there, no MacG were like, fuck voting, and the youth don't care about voting. And we were like, look, it's important to discuss politicians and politics because it affects us. When I was on Podcast and Chill, I re-emphasized that politics as a term comes from Greek. And in effect, it just means the affairs of the city. So if Podcast and Chill is struggling with their Wi-Fi connection, if they have load shedding and they can't record, if they've got guests coming through and they hit a pothole, all of that is politics. So they have to care about the affairs of the city because it affects them directly. And I think they've been hearing the chillers speaking up loud, and they've done interviews with Julius Malema, Musi Maimane, Pule Mabi of the ANC, and then recently they did John Steenhuisen.
What did you think of that episode?
I think for a lot of people, I saw a lot of the chillers, they'd never heard John Steenhuisen speak outside of politics and maybe shouting in parliament, especially at Jacob Zuma. So it was very refreshing for a lot of chillers. They got to see a different side of him. I think he's the first politician on the platform to be drinking Grandeur gin. So they were also quite happy about that.
That was dope, yeah. And I think they're the first ones to have like a black-owned brand. Was that in Parliament? I think they were in Parliament.
I saw that John Steenhuisen was saying Grandeur gin is now in Parliament.
That was dope.
That's very dope.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people got to see a different side of him. In the same way, we've gotten a lot of feedback from some of our interviews and discussions on, geez, I didn't know that about this person. Wow, I didn't know this. So Podcast and Chill, I think in how it has evolved and grown, obviously it was half gossipy, speaking about Hans, it girls. It's maturing very fast, and probably also because 2024 is coming up, into more politics and bringing politicians. So I think some of the politicians are also seeing their reach over 700,000 subscribers and their view counts. This is a platform and young people are here. So let's make sure that we jump on here and we have our voice. I personally didn't get anything new, probably because I follow politics and I follow politicians. What was fascinating was reading the comments of how many chillers were saying, I like this guy, I think I might vote DA. And that was a huge red flag for me immediately in my head. There's nothing wrong with voting for the DA. I think we've had a few guests before who have spoken about the DA and how well they are at governing.
I think one of them was Ernst Roots from AfriForum.
Yeah, they're very good at governance in the places they're in. And governance is just administration. Bas shy span. South Africa comes from a very emotional and tragic history. And unfortunately for us, politics is not just umuntu shy span. It's deeper than that. So if Johan van der Merwe is better at his span, but you've got a DJ Sbutaki, for us, it can't just be Nezu Johan van der Merwe because him and his family have got generations of advantage. When is Oliope, when are Oliope going to become a family to be reckoned with if we don't support them? So I think it's one of the things, even white people who vote DA and who support good governing politicians don't seem to understand. From where we come from historically, it's not good enough to just say, but we're good at what we do. You know, and for chillers to take one conversation and to be like, I think I'll vote DA. The reason it was a light bulb in my head was, not a light bulb, but it was flashing lights was, this is exactly what politics is, you know. And as long as you're going to vote based on, I liked what this guy had to say, I enjoyed their campaigning, it's very dangerous. People, and especially young people, need to get politically literate. That means understanding who runs your ward, who runs the local municipality, who runs your city, your province, and the national government. And then look at a track record of the work that they've done. On paper, be like, okay, the DA has done this. Don't just tell us about Cape Town. Tell us in Nelson Mandela Bay, tell us in Johannesburg and other spaces, what have you done that maybe wasn't done before? And compare it. The ANC now, which is being held to task now, and a lot of people are saying, I'm not going to vote ANC 2024. It's up to them now to be like, and actually show a track record. These are the homes we've built. These are the people we've empowered. These are the NSFAS students that we've put through. These are the grants we've paid. Ningazonda, yes, khona la kumele silungise khona, but this is our track record. ODA bangazonikombisa Cape Town ngoba thina singakhombi iSandton, singakhombi iMhlanga, bangazosijwayela kabi. Kind of
Or
situation.
Cape Town singakhomba
Gugulethu, Khayelitsha, Onyango, Olanga. So again, that becomes the question, because I know Omeg tried to ask, but what about racism in Cape Town? What about the black areas? And John Steenhuisen said, look, if you look at the work we've done, the poorer areas in Cape Town are still better off than other poor areas where other political parties govern. And it's nice to hear that. But to me, voters need to be like, we want to see. Masobuza ngomusi Maimane, Phumzile van Dam, Herman Mashaba, I think Mbali Ntuli, Lindiwe Mazibuko, and why they left the DA. We need to know exactly why. It can't just be like, look, it was a different sort of political opinion. What political opinion? And why? Because again, it's not good enough to say, but we're good at this. Go and shop at Pick n Pay. It's a great retailer compared to the Leope supermarket. I'm like, but the Leope supermarket never had apartheid advantages. It's a new brand. When is it going to get to the same level? It's not good enough to just say merit or whatever. And because people don't understand politics and the work and there's going to be a lot of loss in communication. And when people come on these platforms, whether it's a Tutuzane, whether it's an AfriForum, if you're going to sit and just listen to the words, hey, Gaten Mackenzie, was shy span, you need to bring it back home. Where do you stay? You're not in the Central Karoo. Yes, Gaten Mackenzie is doing good work, but is it just Gaten or is it the entire Patriotic Alliance? Mhlambi Patriotic Alliance, is shy span. Mhlambi DA is only good in Cape Town. Or it's only good in Cape Town because there are rich white people there. The Woolworths, Pick n Pay, PSG, PEP, and all these other head offices are there. So they can obviously fund certain things to be done. Can they do the same in other places? The ANC, as much as we've seen some of the work they've done, can they own up to their corruption? Have they held people to account? Can they do work? And if they're telling us, guys, don't vote DA, why not? It can't be enough about the apartheid. Nathi siyazi, we were there. Our parents can also tell us. But siyabona ama-potholes. Imoto yami njengamanje kumele ngiyoyikhandisa because of isipanseni. Bekicela, I lost someone who was shot in a tavern. We see illegal foreigners every day. There's a story now that Cyril Ramaphosa on Phala was hiring Namibians. And some people are asking, were those Namibians, did they have the documents? What documents did they get to come and work on Cyril's farm? And is that a scarce skill that would bring them here? Those are vital conversations. You need to bring it back to self. And I made a video today's Monday, on Sunday morning, telling people that I need them to do political homework. Find out which ward you're in and the ward number, just as a basic. Find out who your ward councillor is. That's your first point of call. Kwaba khona i-pothole kini, kwaba khona ugesi ongekho. Before uthi oh Ramaphosa ANC, mele uqale la kwi-ward councillor. I-ward councillor yakhe izokutshela no, it's just the issue was our substation. Oh, it's not the ANC. It's not EFF. There was an issue with the substation. Or maybe it was just your complex that has your ward councillor will tell you that. Start there, your local leaders. Then go to local municipality. Who is your mayor? Who are the MMCs and all those people there? What is their budget for what's meant to be happening there? And let them be the ones to tell you, oh, the issue is we're still waiting for provincial government. Who is your premier? Who are the MECs in your province? Singakhuluma about Gauteng or Limpopo. It's nice, but in your province, who is the MEC? Upanyaza Lesufi was here. He's not the Minister of Basic Education. That's Angie Motsecha. He's not the MEC of Education anywhere else but in Gauteng. Islindo Lesufi. No, but Babuhlala Mpumalanga. Lesufi is not meant to be serving you there. It's nice that he's built a brand for himself, but who is your MEC of Education there and what are they doing? And then from province, then you go to national. And njengamanje, part of the political education that needs to go in. Before 94, South Africa had a constituency democracy. That meant in our area, if we have enough votes, whoever we vote for here, that's the person that will go and sit in parliament. And it almost doesn't matter which political party they decide to join. Sithina sithanda usibuda la, usibuda uyena ozosmele parliament. Today we've got this representational democracy where you vote for a political party. And then mabe sebehleli bodwa bephuza utshwala obizayo, behleli ma conference, befuthi imkhabe emkhulu, bebizana ngo comrade, no cader, no chief. They pick each other there with brown envelopes and bags of money. I wena uzohlala eParliament, wena uzokunikeza le portfolio, wena uzo. And you're like, I don't even know where this person is. If you go to Parliament, I think it's parliament.gov.za, there's pictures of all our members of Parliament. And again, this is homework. If you care about your country, if you care about how things have been done, go do that. Go look at those people. Have you ever seen those faces in your life? Or you've never seen those faces in your life. Who are these people? Where are they? Hey, abelungu abangaka. How kona belungu IFP? Things people just don't know. And then look at your ministers. Siyabazi ombalula obheka icele because ibona badumile. They've got big voices, they've got big brands. How many of the other ministers do you know? How many of them actually affect your real life? And then last but not least, from a political standpoint, again, this is things that I was triggered listening to John Steenhuisen and the Mac and Saul interview. It was a great interview, by the way, and I enjoyed listening to John, and I think a lot of people did. But the last thing for me was, stop waiting for politicians to tell you what you need. You know what you need. Sit down at home, sit with your family, your friends, a list of 5, 10, if you can come up with 20 things of what do I want from a political party and from leaders. Do you want free Wi-Fi? Do you want social grants? Do you think social grants to be 3,000 Rand a month? Do you want a job? Where do you want a job? Do you want a car? We want electric cars. It can be as ridiculous as you want, but think about it. What do you want? I want less crime. We're scared in our street. We want to shut down alcohol in our neighborhood, which can happen. That's how we come up with things like bylaws. Where in a certain place it's allowed, in another place it's not allowed because the law in that place says it's not allowed here. What do you want in your schools? No, we'd like our schools to implement agricultural education. We'd like the kids to learn how to plant. We live in a mining town. Is it possible that the political leaders here set up workshops and seminars so that the kids and the adults here begin knowledge sharing with the mines? How do we get tenders at the mines? How do we get tenders just to supply here? That's what we want. Funa matenda la. Write down that list of what you want. Mfuna ugogo wami aye mahala a private hospital. I want free public. Write it down, and when any political leader comes through, a ward councillor, a mayor, an MP, whoever, you're like, these are my demands. Can you meet them? If not, explain why. If you claim you can meet them, can you show me currently what work you're doing? Have you helped put fiber? Have you helped other people get free Wi-Fi somewhere? What are you doing? Can you show me good? No, in Parliament, we've held the ANC to account. We just haven't won. But these are all the things we've said, good guys, this is what the people want. So that I fundamentally know these people are working. Because you're going to miss the trick. Politicians are in the business of maximizing votes, not serving the people. That's a completely different department. Serving the people is Home Affairs. It's SAPS. Those are not politicians. The traffic cops, those are not, that's service. The politician we must strategy meeting, know what we think with the policy, no honorable member, what. They're there to just come up with laws and policies, but this Spanish it's nice to see Gayton now, but what does the PA stand for politically? And outside of Gayton and social media and helping the people of the Central Karoo, is Gayton and the PA, are they the party to go for? Because they're telling me, we will solve some of these problems for you. And that's political literacy to me. And until we get it, 2024, zobe go amapiano, kabza the small, nabo maporisa, bazobe tola ma gigs, kobe bizo pel tusi, nabo boyti, nabo banbani to come and speak, ma campaign, kobe kumnandi, kobe kudlalo Sarafina skhumbule apartheid, abelunga ngeke baphathe, and we will have completely lost everything about what needs to be done. Load shedding, crime, the SOEs, the fact that our economy is still not transformed, the fact that our education system is broken, and other political parties are going to say, yo, look at the ANC. And I'm going to say, what have you done? No, but I'm not in power. That's fine. I can show you many people who are not in power. I can show you Gift of the Givers. I can show you AfriForum. I can show you maybe a Operation Tutula or Soweto Parliament. They're doing something and they're not a political party. They're not in power. Show us what you're doing currently with the little bit that you have. Show us the business people. SLEF is not a political party, but you like with the little bit of money we have as an NPO, that's why I'll vote for you. That's why your Herman Mashaba and Abo Gayton, by the way, are refreshing. Because they're not there as career politicians, they're there to actually serve. And this is the time, I think Nabo Tutuzane as well, this is the time for young people who are not a chief, I want a tender, and chief, when we get there and we meet the, not trying to be cool and sound whatever, but you're like, guys, I want to work. I want this country to work, and I want to put my hand up, and it doesn't matter what it means. And we need to work.
I want to give them up. I want to give big them up, and big them, give them a big round of applause. Shout out to Podcast and Chill for moving towards having politicians, so people can hear these guys, so we can critique them, having listened to them. But with that being said, as well, we're approaching 2024.
Yeah.
This is me now speaking to McG, Podcast and Chill, the whole team and behind the scenes. At some point, these politicians have to pay you guys, like even us, because when it gets closer to elections, then it's time for them to campaign. And there's amount of money that they pay to have billboards on all these street corners. There's a lot of amount of monies they pay to have adverts on TV, on radio. And we don't want, just because we are podcasts, we don't just want to become those platforms where they are now seeing a loophole for them to reach out to the masses
And bazogi user.
without having to be paid. Yeah. So guys, don't allow to be used. Yes, for now, they can come here, they can go there, we can have them everywhere, and which is a great thing. We want to listen to them. These are our leaders. We have to hold them to account. But at some point as well, let us not be used. Let us not be taken advantage of. So at some point, you guys will make your own decision. When is it getting closer to, or when are the campaigns are starting? And remember, these interviews that we're doing online exist forever.
Yeah.
It's not like on radio or on TV where it's just played.
Do
Do you know what I mean? It might be on however many thousands of views now, but it might have tripled or even quadrupled in a year's time when it's even closer to the elections.
True.
Where even if they didn't come to your platform at that time, they came now a year ago, but it's what they said on your platform is still relevant and it's still working to their favor, right? So for me as a businessman, as somebody who's also podcasting, I don't want us to be taken advantage of.
No, I agree. I want to say I did an interview with Rob Hersoff in Cape Town. I had an opportunity to interview Gayton. We've obviously had Otutuzane and them. There are... Perception is important, of course. And some people have accused me, and they still accuse me of selling out, and then Ngipapecha Rob Hersoff, whatever. Rob hasn't given me any money. I'm just stating it again on the record. G cracked a joke to John Steenhuisen towards the end of the interview. When are you guys going to sponsor us? And John was like, I didn't know that. Like, no, you guys must sponsor us. And John Steenhuisen was like, no, I'll speak to the Stellenbosch Mafia. And he was like, no, actually, I'll ask Cyril to speak to his friends at the Stellenbosch Mafia.
Yeah.
I do believe there must be a fair value exchange. I'm not going to call it money per se. I think there must be a fair value exchange with platforms and anyone, not just political parties, including business people. On the come up for podcasters, you don't have much to offer. You have 500 subscribers. So DJ Sbu ngiyacela uzongena kwi-podcast yami. He may not come. But you also need to think, if Sbu coming here is going to do something for us, can I ask someone to fundraise? Sbu sicela ukudonate mhlambe to i-transport yakho, sicela ukupusha ama fire, whatever. There must be value exchange. As you get bigger, of course, and some of these big guys come on, whether it's sneaker brands, clothing brands, gin, energy drinks, there needs to be value exchange. It may not necessarily be money, but it could be, look, for you and your crew, we're going to supply you with drinks moving forward. And you're like, oh, by all means. Not Uguti, if you don't do that, angesic invite, no. But this is what Ubuntu is. The fear, of course, with the political parties is it's going to then start becoming a money thing. And it's going to be which political party is going to pay who for what. And if political parties are going to say, look, we'll pay you to not interview certain people. And I think it's also going to be key for podcasters, including ourselves, as one of the major podcasts in the country. It's going to be very important to put some type of disclaimers saying things like, this is a paid promotion, so that people are aware, because we haven't done that before. People might think, you treated these people with soft gloves. ANC, those are very genuine chats, no matter how people see them. But we need to be responsible as we move and as we get bigger. And hopefully as the political parties see us as a big billboard that is influential, they will need to pay or offer any kind of fair value, but we will need to give disclosure so that fundamentally we don't lose credibility with any of our audience, be it hustlers, be it chillers, be it squatters. You know, it can't be that we become what mainstream media has been accused of, because then what the fuck is the point? We may as well stop. Tell people, go to SAPC, go to News, because clearly we are useless. But we are a platform and we understand it, and we understand we have influence. And I've seen in some of the conversations I've had that some people are listening to me and my political thoughts. And there are politicians who are beginning to get upset in the conversations they're having with me when I tell them things like, I'm not really sure who to vote for. And I don't even know if I should vote because I think the system is broken. And I think the constitution itself needs to be rewritten. And I think we need to have a Codesa 2.0. And they're like, Penal, you can't say that. That's reckless for someone like you who's got a voice. And I'm like, you're not going to tell me what to do. In the same way when McG was saying, the youth don't give a fuck. What's the point of voting if we're going to get the same? He needed to have that voice. He needs to say his piece. And if come now, next year, 2024, I say, guys, I'm going to vote for the ANC, I must be able to back that up with guys. What council I am, this is what they do. Mina njoba ngivotela ANC ngivotela these people. And it must be clear ngithi nani lani ikhona ngicela ningalandeli mina. Nani landelani your process of how to vote. So that when we're interviewing anyone, we can ask various questions of national importance. But people must know ukuthi lo muntu uzela ngoba ukhokhile for the platform, or uzela because he's some debater, or uzela because mhlampe we know that some of our audience wants to hear this person, even if we may disagree. I've said to some of the people, in particular white people, that at the last national elections, I voted for the EFF. And for me, it was very simple. The EFF, as far as I'm concerned, was a breakaway of the ANC Youth League. And it was the cream of the ANC Youth League at the time, Julius Floyd Mbuyiseni. So at the time, the ANC Youth League was kind of weak. And at that time, I believed that young people needed to be in parliament. And the EFF was showing that they are putting young people in parliament. Young people who don't have policies that are much different from the ANC. Some of them are old ANC policies or nationalization of the mines and the land. I was like, yes, this is what I want. And if the EFF is going to keep raising these things in parliament, I will vote purely for that. So if I'm going to vote in future for the PA, for me, it can't just be because Gayton is doing good work in the Karoo. Because it's not just going to be Gayton sitting in parliament. It's going to be all those other PA members. Who are they? What have they done? What are their policies? And how do they feel about things that I care about? If they're just going to do certain things like close potholes, we can set up an NPO tomorrow that closes potholes. I want something deeper because the platform that they have is a deeper platform. So I'm just saying, for us as a platform, we obviously need to be aware. And as much as we'd like them to fund us, because we are a platform that can transform and that needs equipment and we also just need to be very careful once we open ourselves up to telling political parties, guys, Ozani kodwa this guy knew.
No, not necessarily just funding as per the explanation of just funding, but advertising.
Sure.
If our rate card is this, if Vodacom, when it comes here, or MTN, or Coca-Cola, or Mofire, or Bar 2 pays this much according to pay our rate card,
Sure.
this is how much we're going to charge you as EFF, as DA, as, ANC, etc.
Sure.
It's basically what I was saying.
Now, I'm happy to invite political parties, brands, individuals, anyone who would like to sponsor us to carry on doing our work. I'm just happy. I'm more happier, not just as someone on the podcast, but even as an audience member. I pay as well for this channel. I'm also a fan of this channel. Some of the
Big up, sure.
some of the interviews.
Same here. I pay also. Yeah.
Some of the interviews I'm not in. Some of the interviews I learn from as well. So as much as I'm a part of the team, I'm also a fan. And as a fan, I don't want this platform that I love so much, that I joined even before I was one of the co-hosts. I don't want it to lose its credibility, and I don't want it to become mainstream. And so just a disclaimer, if you're being sponsored by Batu, let us know. If you're being sponsored by the DAEFF, let us know, just so I can be like, but guys, basitshela. Ningazosho ukuthi they sold out, because they didn't, and they invited everyone. Just as to this day, this desk is quite empty, it's quite clean. Singabeka isitulo la, Cyril Ramaphosa, Julius Malema, uGogo Helen Zille, and any other politician, as old as he is, Mkhulu, uMangosuthu Buthelezi, if he can, anyone, Bantu Olomisa, these are now the legends and the icons. They're free to come here and have conversations with us. So, yeah.
I want to talk about Ubaba Mkhukhu, and I don't know if how true that is, that he's running. I wanted to hear your opinion on not necessarily him, but independent candidates.
Yeah, my thoughts. So yeah, I don't, is he running independent?
That's what I heard. I don't know how true it is.
I saw a video with 2 or 3 elder people that was sitting with him in a home setting, announcing that he's going to be running. I thought they were maybe bringing him into a political party, or they were going to set up a political party. Between now and 2024, I don't know how much work is going to be done, but there's going to be a push for independence. There isn't enough time, sadly. I know Musi Maimane is doing some work in that regard. I also know Sismandi Samashikho and some people are fighting for political reform so that independents actually have a voice. South Africans currently are by and large not ready for independence. We're very much a party state. The sooner we can understand, and this is what I was saying about the representational versus the constituencies, the sooner we can understand that a parliamentary seat is 40,000 votes, the sooner we can start saying, I want to know who's going to get a seat and have a say. Once we can have that, I think it's going to become much easier for maybe the ex-Chief Justice to run, for maybe a Musi Maimane to run, and for anyone else, including ourselves, if people feel we should run for whatever reason. But I think it's early. And I think a lot of work still needs to be done in just with the IEC and also just in voter education in particular. My other concern with the Chief Justice is judges in this country get paid for life, even after you retire, just like presidents. You get paid a presidential salary until you die.
I know about presidents. I didn't know about judges.
Judges as well. So as a Chief Justice, Mkhukhu is going to be getting his salary for life. And part of the conditions of those salaries is that you continue to serve. So Thabo Mbeki, Jacob Zuma, Kgalema Motlanthe, for example, they still have an expectation to serve the country because they are ex-presidents of this country. And the same with judges. At any given time, they can be called up to consult. So now the concern of you're a politician now and you're still meant to be on the side of the judiciary, is that not potentially going to be a conflict of interest? I am not sure. I know there was an issue with the Ingonyama Trust, the main trustee there and the ex-advisor, the advisor of the late uKingzwe Lithini, Judge Jerome Gwenya. I don't know the full story, but he was a judge and he almost had to leave his title as a judge to be able to serve in some of the roles he was serving in. And just some of those intricacies that some of us maybe don't understand from from a legal perspective. So I don't know if Mkhukhu is going to be running, if he's going to have to revoke his judge status, or how that's going to work. A lot of people love him because he is a devout Christian, staunch, seems highly ethical, has got very strong views. Sadly, like politicians, at times when he could have pushed for certain judicial reform, he kind of fell short, in my opinion. He said some strong things during his terms, and he said even more strong things after. But if you're going to be the president or be the chief justice, and then who's all complaining afterwards when you had the position, it's a bit frustrating for some of us.
At some point, you said I don't know how you put it, I don't want to paraphrase you wrong. Uguti, I don't know if you wanted to stop being Umzulu, but according to my knowledge, Umzulu. I wanted to hear your opinions on the current or the new King MisuZulu Kazwelithini, and just what has been happening in the kingship and in just the royal family in KZN.
From an official perspective, on behalf of the general Zulu population, I would like to congratulate Inkosi the new king, Inkosi yamaZulu, MisuZulu Kazwelithini, on his coronation over the weekend. Beautiful ceremony from some of the pictures and the videos I saw. A lot of notable people, local, international. For a lot of people, again, this is our lack of just African and cultural knowledge. People that don't know that there are Zulu kings and representatives across the continent. One of them being a Zulu representative, a king in Malawi. I think there may have been another one from Zambia. You know, some people on Twitter were saying things like, you know, hopefully the xenophobia and these things will fall apart with now people realizing that there are Zulu, let's call them colonies or communities in parts of the African continent that they didn't even know about. Beautiful ceremony. There were also jokes by the dog, because MisuZulu and some of his brothers obviously went to private schools, especially in the Midlands. I think MisuZulu went to St. Charles, a private school. Some of the kids may have gone to schools like Kersney in Durban, maybe your Michael House, Hilton. So in some of the interviews, you hear when they switch from MisuZulu to English, really proud of my brother, MisuZulu, you know, I think he's really keen for the throne, and which is something new, you know. But it touches on the TKZ element of, they can't now come and put on a fake voice like some politicians we know. I'd like to thank my brother, MisuZulu. That's not who you are, dog. Just be yourself. Be authentically you. So that was pretty funny, but cool. Officially, congrats to him on behalf of the Zulu nation. There's still a lot of fights. Some of the princesses and some of the princes have still taken this matter to court. To this day, they still believe he's not the rightful king, and the king should be Prince Magate. I stand to be corrected, but I think Prince Magate is the firstborn son from the first marriage, Yazwelithini. And at some point from the first marriage, I think we touched on this at some point, from the first marriage, Uzwelithini got married under civil. And according to this Roman Dutch law we have, you can't be a polygamist if you have a civil union. You have to dissolve the civil and then only do customary. So I don't know where that's going to go and how that's going to happen. But officially on the record, if you look at everything, MisuZulu is officially the king of the Zulus today. My personal opinion now, which is the one that upsets a lot of people, I have left the Zulu nation for many reasons which I've explained before. Part of them being I do not recognize whether MisuZulu or his father Uzwelithini or the royal family. I no longer recognize them as my kings. I no longer recognize the royal family as a family I bow down to. In the same way, when South Africa supposedly left the British colony and the Commonwealth, which it seems we're still a part of, it meant we no longer bowed down to the Queen in England. I no longer bow down to the Zulu king. I can recognize and respect him and his title and where he stands in the same way I can respect Cyril Ramaphosa as president of the country. But for me personally, I do not take my directive from them. My authority figures are not them. I do not reside on Ingonyama Trust land. I do not have a piece of land. So I cannot even say, well, at least I pay a lease or I have been given ngasikelwa umhlaba by the king or by Induna. Outside of speaking the Zulu language, in the same way I speak the English language, I speak Afrikaans as a language of communication and as the most spoken language in this country. I do not and no longer practice Zulu customs. Angiye emsamo, angihlabeli abaphansi. Angikhonzi the belief systems of what the Zulus used to believe in, which sadly enough, uZwelithini himself was a devout Christian. So he himself did not, as far as I know, follow in the belief systems of the Zulus, believing in Omvelinqangi, Onkulunkulu, etc. In terms of the customary proceedings, I believe he still followed those, but he was a Christian as well. I don't believe in orthodox Zulu beliefs. I believe the Zulu royal kingdom has been diluted and has lost its essence. And I think there's a lot of, this is going to go down controversially, there's a lot of clownishness and circus behavior in what's happening. If you look at Heritage Day in South Africa on the 24th of September, South Africans go to China malls now, China cities, to go and buy African leopard vest, they country China, bagqoke these pants that were made famous by Maskandi singers. Bathenga umqhele okhandwe ama-China, and they're like, this is my culture. This is someone who probably went to a private school, who's never slaughtered anything, who doesn't understand his family lineage, who doesn't understand umlando wakwaZulu, just as a nation, and how Shaka managed to combine tribes, including powerful tribes like Onxumalo, Zwide, Nomthetho, Onyambos, under this Zulu nation. They don't understand any of those things. Today, you wear these, it's like a costume, which you don't really wear every day, you know. Hip-hop is a culture, Kwaito is a culture, it's something you live and breathe. But you wear these things almost as a show, as and when it suits you, to try and reflect something that you're not really living. Because every other day you're wearing a suit, every other day you're dressed in Western clothing. 80% of the time you're probably speaking English at work or with your family. And then you're going to come and pretend to be Zulu now because it's trending. In the same way, we're going to pretend to be pro whatever party wins 2024. In the same way, we all pretend to be a united South Africa when we win a Rugby World Cup, when we beat the All Blacks. So I think a lot of essence has been lost. We saw a speech given by MisuZulu himself where he was struggling to read isiZulu, and he even asked uMangosuthu Buthelezi, the prince, if he could please carry on in English. MisuZulu himself, before he was brought in now, had a partner and they had 2 children. A partner he had not married. I'm not sure if he had paid damages for the lady. All of those things were fast-tracked because now he's going to become the king. And this is not a young chap. I think he is in his 40s, which means he'd been living a normal life. He had kids and he was just living his life. And now he has to pretend now, ukulandela isiko, for the sake of now he's going to become king. I think it's very disrespectful to what the Zulu nation is meant to stand for and what ukuba umZulu means. And it seems like being a real Zulu is only for abantu basemakhaya. Laba bakhule ngempela belusa, bephahla, bekhuluma isiZulu, befuya inkomo, you know, eating herbs, mabegula, belalela izangoma. And those of us who are now Model C, private school, English, travel the world, all of a sudden sifika later sesonikezwe ikhundla. When we don't actually understand the lived reality of the people. We're so majorly detached from the people, and it's just nice to say. You know, people were teasing Tutuzane Zuma for getting on a platform. Ni abasaba na, with an accent, ekhuluma isiZulu, you know. And these are meant to be the leaders of the majority black people. From a political perspective, of course, we can look to governance, and he's got a father to mentor him. But now for something that is cultural and that is meant to be the core of your existence, to have leaders who may not really live the reality of your life, who get a nice budget from government, which is paid by taxpayers, a lot of them who are not Zulu themselves, where the king gets is 60 million, 70 million rand a year. The royal palaces are taken care of by the KwaZulu-Natal government. The wives of MisuZulu's father are taken care of. And then Ingonyama Trust, which is close to 3 million hectares, a lot of that land is given to mines and businesses and farms that are not even owned by Zulu people.
And how true is it that the ANC wants to dissolve the Ingonyama Trust land with 3 million hectares?
So Ingonyama Trust, just the parts where they lease out to white, Indian and foreign business interests, it raises between 180 million to 200 million rand a year. Where does that money go? Is it being invested in the Zulu nation? Are they building schools that teach natively in isiZulu? Are they building a Zulu economy where every Zulu item you see has to be trademarked and patented? You cannot wear Zulu unless it comes from a Zulu factory. Are they building Zulu structures, Zulu libraries? Are they exporting the Zulu culture to the world? As an example, it becomes tragic for me what's happening, and those are part of the reasons why I was raised Zulu, and I'm very thankful. And ngakhuliswa ngenhlonipho, ngobuntu, ngokulandela isiko la ngikhona, ukuhlonipha nje abantu in particular. But the essence of where this comes from and where it's meant to be going, I think has been lost, especially by some of the people who are meant to be leadership. And I think a lot of the masses have been misled because people at the top just want to ukudla imali, just like our politicians do. And for those reasons, I cannot, for my integrity and my self-respect, I cannot continue following those authority figures. Kgalema Motlanthe was one of the leaders in the ANC. They set up a council looking to begin the discussion in dismantling Ingonyama Trust. Zwelithini at the time when he was alive said that he was willing to fight and set up a war, and if it meant that KwaZulu gets removed from South Africa and becomes an independent state, like Eswatini, he was willing to do that. Luckily, it never came to fruition. It still needs to be one of the conversations we need to have. When I speak about CODESA 2.0, part of the conversation needs to be the land situation in South Africa, all the tribal land that sits under trusts, all the kings and chiefs that are meant to look after the land. What are they doing with the land on behalf of their people? Because a lot of their people are being forced to move to the cities, to be domestic workers, to be security, drive taxi. Because when you look back home, balambile, but they claim to have kings and chiefs. Why are your kings and your chiefs not feeding you? Even now, Eswatini, Utumswati, some of the people, they want democracy because they're saying we are poor and we are hungry. And this person that is meant to be our authority figure is not taking care of us. If anything, black Africans by and large, who have black political leaders, who have black monarchs, still have to go and beg the same oppressive white colonizer people for jobs. What is the point of having a black leader if they can't even take care of your well-being? So that was a conversation that was held, and it was halted at some point. But I know sooner rather than later it's going to be raised again, especially as more Zulu kids leave KZN, become educated, assimilate with whiteness and Western education like myself, begin looking at how the world works, and then start asking fundamental questions of private land ownership. I live on Ingonyama Trust. I have 20 hectares of land. I want to set up a business. The bank wants security. They want collateral. I have this land, but I can't use it. Why not? I'm educated, mfundile, I have the ability, and I know that if I lose this land, I've lost it, but why must I wait for a MisuZulu to tell me what to do with the land? If this land is meant to be for us, on behalf of us, to protect us, I believe I am now empowered. I am now educated. Why can I not rightfully take the land now? I feel I'm ready. Me and MisuZulu, for example, went to St. Charles together. He was my boy. We played rugby together. What makes him a greater authority figure over the land than myself? If I feel I'm capable, I might have actually studied further than him. I might have a PhD in law. I might have a PhD in international monetary finance. So why not? No, because culturally, what the Zulu people will get angry. Which Zulu people? I'm a Zulu person. Which Zulu people is he representing, and for how long? Is it because they are children? Is it because they are not smart enough? If they're not smart enough, are we saying all black people in this country that are not educated should be treated like kids? So then maybe our government should actually own all the land, and no one should have a right to land because apparently you're too stupid and the bank will come and steal your land. If that's what we agree on, by all means.
So I've been one of the people that has been very, very confused about, what makes a king, the rightful king, what is happening in the Zulu kingdom, who is the rightful king, and obviously following, what others would say, Prince Smagate, others would say, no, King Smagate. I didn't understand. Zulu.
Yeah.
But I'd like to recommend a podcast episode from an awesome podcast. Shout outs to, it's called the Big Daddy Liberty.
Oh, Big Daddy Liberty. I know him.
Yeah. Guys, go check out the Big Daddy Liberty podcast. If you haven't subscribed to the Big Daddy Liberty podcast, subscribe. I think it's an awesome platform. There's a lot to learn, and big up to the brother.
He's an amazing political voice in particular.
Yeah, he's putting in amazing work. On that episode, he interviewed a brother called Dalisi Buthelezi. Dalisi Buthelezi broke it down amazingly. So go check out that episode, because I don't want to paraphrase wrong, because I kind of believe this is a very sensitive matter.
It is very sensitive.
And I don't want this clip being taken and, you know, I'm being quoted out of context, or I've said something wrong. But I got to learn a lot just from that episode, where Big Daddy Liberty podcast hosted Udalisu Buthelezi, who also mentioned that he actually still lives in KZN. He actually lives in the Ingonyama Trust land.
Yes.
And he broke it down so well and so amazingly about Umlando, on what makes a king and what has happened in the past, etc. But he wasn't saying who the rightful king is now. You make your own decisions based on, you know, he's a historian. Based on, you know, his breaking down of the history is concerned. And I just want to say it's a beautiful teachable moment, and it's a beautiful period in history.
Yeah.
If you haven't been following it up, it doesn't matter. Even if you're not Zulu, you have, as long as you're an African person, I kind of believe it's a story worth following up, and it's a story worth learning from.
No, I fully agree. And we speak political literacy, we speak financial literacy, we speak legal literacy. I think cultural literacy we take for granted. Everyone assumes that everyone knows, and people don't know. I can say that for a fact. I just want to emphasize again that I was raised Zulu. So for all intents and purposes, I am Zulu. My brother himself is a passionate Zulu man. Some of my friends are passionate Zulu people. I have decided on my own to remove myself from the Zulu nation. And I gave the official congratulations to the king, MisuZulu of the Zulus, and I was giving my personal opinion. As someone who grew up KwaZulu, who is now an outsider on how I feel about everything that's happened there. I think it is important conversations. I have access and links to people at the highest levels of the royal family, something that people might not know about me. And some of the conversations I've had was how it came to be that a Zulu nation even came to be. And how do you move so that we're no longer a Zulu nation? Are we stuck? If you're born Christian, are you stuck Christian, or can you leave and become something else? If you're Ntombazane yompedi and you marry a Zulu guy, does that mean you forsake your pediness? These are fundamental conversations we're not having. We're no longer having wars. So it can't be that a king from KwaXhosa, for example, goes to KZN and beats the royal army, and then he becomes the ruler of the Zulu nation. We're not in that time anymore. But we need to speak about how do we demarcate land moving forward? How do we demarcate, or how do we come up with labels for cultures moving forward? Because that was just a snapshot in time. We can trace when Zulu started and where it is now. You don't have to be stuck in Zulu forever, because there was something before Zulu. The Zulu nation wasn't born Zulu from the beginning of time. These were a group of people that came somewhere else. They came from Abangoni, for example, which then broke up into Zulu, Xhosa, Ndebele, Swati, etc. Before Abangoni, there was a great ancestor, Untu. So there's history, and now that we're in Zulu, it doesn't mean we're stuck. And to what you're saying, and this is why I've built my own belief system of penalism, we are in a time now where we can create new ones, and there can be an evolution. Utu Penuel, who is a penalist, used to be a Zulu, and the Zulus come from this, and the whatever come from this. Just like in Ntombazane can say, Ngumpedi, ngashata kwaZulu, mangibheka, nangale, umamezala naye waqhamuka kwaXhosa, umlando, but it doesn't mean you're stuck. And we have the ability to change some of these things. Not because we disrespect them, we respect them highly. Same way, if you're not voting ANC, doesn't mean you're disrespecting or Jacob Zuma or Nelson Mandela or Solomon Mahlangu or Artambo. That's not what we're saying. We're saying, siyawubonga umsebenzi abawenza. The freedoms we have today, it's because of them, and we acknowledge that. But we're in a time now where we want to move forward for what's better. And what's better may not be the ANC. What's better for me may not be being a Zulu man. what might be better for someone else is leaving South Africa and getting another citizenship. That's the time we're in now, and people need to open their minds to that. To say, siyabonga, kodwa we think this is what's better for the individual, for the family, for the community, and maybe even for the nation at large.
And what are you going to teach your kids?
In terms of what?
In terms of what you're saying culturally. Sure.
Sure. So my children are going to be raised under myself as their authority figure, which means their core belief system will be penalism, which is literally what their father believes in. We live in South Africa where I feel it is important that they get exposed to as many cultures as possible, because I love human beings and I love connecting with human beings. So, of course, they need to find out where their father is from. And part of it is visiting in KwaZulu. Part of it is seeing. I mean, I'm blessed and I'm fortunate that I was raised Zulu, because it is the biggest tribe in this country. So I'm spoiled. It's not like I am Tsonga and I'm introducing them to Zulu. I can take them to Zulu and get them to understand it. See it, sihlabe. Uklaba is something that I think all South Africans should do, to be honest. It's a beautiful thing. Spit braais, ukzingela where possible, which is part of my legacy and my history from my father, who was a hunter. And then being exposed to some of the other tribes, the Afrikaners as a tribe, for example. So I want them to be exposed, but I want them to know the core of me. And because they will have had the opportunity to watch their father create his own thing, I am hoping that it will plant something in them where once they are mature and independent enough, they can choose their own path. Whether to be penalists, whether to be like, no, I think I want to be Zulu. No, I think I want to join KwaXhosa. I think I want to be Umswati, or whatever the case may be of who they want to be and what identity they choose for what is best for them in their lives at that time. That is what I want to teach, not only my children, but all of my followers of penalism, to say that you must, as our ancestors always did, you must move to fertile earth. The reason we have political parties is because we moved. Politics is not an African cultural thing in the way we have it now. So someone might actually even call Abo Mangosuthu Buthelezi, Abo Jacob Zuma sellouts for not saying, no, we're rejecting this political system. We will only do tribal politics. They went and they joined political parties which govern. So Nati, I speak for myself, Nati was saying we're moving somewhere else. You guys did it, and we didn't call you sellouts. So we're doing it well. And we're saying we think we can go deeper. And not only will we take on some of the Western systems, we can build religious systems which actually hit the core of the psyche, so that no matter what is brought, the core of what we believe in is owned by us.
It's a dope Monday, guys. We are getting into September next week. We're hoping it's going to be warm.
Yo, ngiyakotola as
Sure, as it is. Now I'm like freezing. But just on a lighter note, to wrap it up, guys, have a great festive season. Have a great summer. But before then, what's going to start from next week, from the 1st of September, is spring. So on a lighter note, I'm looking forward to spring. It's been cold like crazy. And just one interview I just checked out online. I'm just always happy when young people emerge in the entertainment industry, because that's where I come from, and that's where I also emerged as a young person to make a name for myself in this country. And I've had to evolve and become this person that I'm becoming, or who I am today. And it's opened a lot of doors for myself and for my family, and even in creating business and how I move in the space. Although I've been through also a lot of controversies in my youth in the entertainment business. There's a young lady that I've also just been watching. It's not only her, there's a whole lot of other young people that are killing it in the game, becoming brands in their own right, and starting to move. Some of them make mistakes. We all make mistakes, but you learn from your mistakes, you evolve, and you become so incredible. But I have not, sometimes they say, and I hear this all the time from squatters and hustlers and chillers. Wow, I never knew so up until I at least spent 45 minutes or an hour of my time to listen to them on your podcast, which is what I did with a lady called Mihlali. Usis Mihlali Ndamase. She was on Kai FM, I think it was last week. Yeah. An incredible interview. And sometimes, that's why I always say, guys, let's not just utatama headlines of and just assume. And I've also been getting a lot of people saying, how? headlines have been saying Sbu yakula sikuthandazele hey kwenzakalani ngoSbu. Then we come to your social media platform or we bump into you
Sure.
or we give you a call like
Ukrent
type of thing.
Yeah.
So I listened to Sis Mihlali. What an incredible interview. So
Yeah.
if you haven't checked it out, it's on the Kai FM YouTube platform. Go check out the interview Sis Mihlali did with the Kai FM crew. That is Usol and Udinaya. And I want to congratulate you guys. As a radio lover, I'm starting to warm up to your morning show. It's a beautiful show. Keep doing what you guys are doing. Grow your relationship. And I can feel the chemistry as well. I think Sol is doing a great job on that morning show. Why am I bringing up Usis Mihlali? Is because behind the scenes, you're telling me, Guti, you've also had to spend some time with Leeroy.
Yeah.
And shout outs to Leeroy. I've known Leeroy for quite some time as well. Incredible businessman. So big up to Mr. Leeroy Sitambi. Is he okay?
I'm gonna keep it very brief. I made a video a couple of weeks ago trying to unpack the Leeroy and Mihlali story because it was trending. Musa Kaula has become the king or the queen of gossip on Twitter and maybe in the country at large.
Ushashu manje.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mela yobuza ukuthi ukuphi ubhuti umduduzi Dlamini. Noma akahlala phansi nje nombhuti umduduzi Dlamini over tea or coffee.
Sure.
Or ayohlala lelinye Groban abathi Charles, is it Charles Mulele? I forgot the name. Bra Charles, can ki mankile bethe usikankwatela Groban yaka. But I'd like for you guys, when you've got some time, put him to do Dlamini wherever you are. Grab the young man or the young, I don't know whether it's a male or female, because you know we are behind social media accounts. Nihlale phansi nje no put Musa Kaula nike nimxoxele ngale game nale industry. But yeah.
Yeah. So I made a video speaking about my views on.
Or maybe let me mention ukuthi
Sure.
Put Charles Mulele no put Mduduzi Dlamini were behind Shwashwi.
Okay.
Just to give context so people understand
Sure.
what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Sure. I made that video and I think some people saw it.
No, sis Sonia. No, sis Sonia. Actually, I think that's a rightful person. Sonia, you don't know sis Sonia.
Jeez, I don't.
She was also a part of Shwashwi, man, at some point. But anyway,
I don't know the Shwashwi
But
people.
anyway,
I used to ignore that type of stuff.
But I want them to go and sit down with the young man and make them understand if you're going to take this route.
Sure.
And if this is what you're going to follow. And yes, maybe, you might be doing good and growing your brand and becoming this gossip figure in the country.
Sure.
But behind the scenes, there's a lot of families that you're also breaking.
100%. 100%. Leeroy got in touch with me 2 weeks ago. He wanted to chat about the video. The video that I made was trying to explain the complexity of relationships and how all of us grow up as intwana, sifuna ukukhanda inyuku, and amachiri namahla, like, I want to make it in life, and ngithola umtshito grand. And how their story was literally just a love story that affects all of us. It just so happens that Mihlali is a very famous influencer, and it happens that Leeroy is a known businessman. So I was just covering that in that video. It's on my channel, Penuel the Black Pen. Last week I got the chance to meet Leeroy, got the chance to meet Mihlali as well. Stunning, beautiful lady. Leeroy, out a grand, good-looking gent as well. You know, I got to meet one of his children, beautiful young girl. So na enjoy chips, good-looking guy, very intelligent guy as well, and a very passionate businessman. You know, I believe he employs, I stand to be corrected, but a couple of thousands of people that he employs. So to what you're saying about the danger of social media is, when I met them, we didn't speak about this, by the way. So I just need to clarify that. We were speaking about business, we were speaking about politics, because he's in the procurement space, I'm a tender, as we know them. And also, I got to see his stunning house that was trending recently. After I left them there, I was just thinking about the consequences of social media and how all of us are complicit when we laugh, when we retweet, when we share, and the potential danger and destruction that happens. Cancel culture, we've spoken about a couple of times. Some people still don't get it, and we need to highlight it. And this is not to say that when people are doing bad things, we mustn't call them out. It's not to say that if there's a trending story, DJ Sbu looks sick, you mustn't share it. Because a lot of people share it out of concern. It's to say we just need to take a step back and just think. If, let's say there's a sex tape that comes out Mamom Dala, who's a member of parliament with a family, and you're sharing that. There are stories, documented stories of people that have committed suicide from cyberbullying. That means a person took their life. And yes, you can blame the person that uploaded the story, but it's normally not just that person. It's the 5,000 retweets. It's the 8,000 people that shared. It's all the people in the WhatsApp groups that were sharing this thing that eventually led to the collapse of this person's mental state. When you destroy someone's career, business, you destroy the person. There are so many innocent families at the back there who then lose their jobs, who lose opportunities. And it's not to say we must protect. Oh.
I think by Shisanga Mabomo, it's not anything
Yeah,
negative. No trangesi for Sazopila.
I know you guys can't smell it.
Sazopila.
It's not to say we must protect, for example, potential corrupt people. So as an example, come 2024, if we're saying vote out the ANC, we can't be guilt-tripped into, but MPs, the ANC, they also have families to feed. It can't be that because there's a bigger country at play. So even when a business is collapsing, as much as jobs, people might lose their jobs, there might be retrenchments. That doesn't mean we must protect corruption or bad business practices. But it's to say when it's something like Leeroy and Mihlali, they were trending literally for their relationship. And Leeroy is currently still married, but he's separated from his wife. And Mihlali was being accused of being a homewrecker, which is not true. And it's been said. But obviously, because it's Sunday gossip and whatever, some of these things may not affect Leeroy and Mihlali and may not affect even the wife. They may affect the children at school. Now a child is depressed because it kulunya this and that about mama no baba, what. The child might end up hurting themselves. And you guys thought it was funny and it's fun and games until that happens. It may happen that, which is what's said, Musa went and he set up a petition for Mihlali to lose endorsement deals. For Utando, something that we all do.
Excuse me, say that again. Sure. Set up a petition for? Set
up a petition, I think on Twitter, to say people must vote so that AMA brands pull out from endorsing Mihlali.
Oh, come on, guys.
Not because Mihlali's done anything bad or because she killed someone or she beat someone.
So it's not a petition to build, it's a petition to destroy.
It's a petition to destroy.
Ah, guys, come on.
You know,
man.
And in that same vein, there's a story, and again, I'm sorry if I'm saying this incorrectly. I think Ulirato Khanyago miscarried a child during pregnancy because of certain stories that Musa peddled out there, which trended and got violent, toxic, and led to her losing her child. These are real consequences.
That's why I'm saying he has to sit down with people who've been behind that trash.
Sure.
Some of them left it because of those things. Sometimes we may never see on the other side the damage we are causing.
Of course.
I might say whatever I want to say on this podcast in the comfort of me being here in Sandton. It's just a camera over there. Whatever happens behind it, I don't know, and it might never harm me in any way or affect me. But they always say whatever type of energy you put out to the universe, it'll come back to you. Ever heard of something called karma? And even if it's not directly to you, your offsprings or the generations to come after you.
Yeah.
But at some point, I mean, I don't wish anything bad to anybody that peddles gossip online. But I'm just saying, go learn or maybe sit down for a cup of coffee with people who did it for many years and let them, where they are right now, older as they are, let them share and let them give you their peace of mind on whether you're on the right path by being a part of creating gossip or destruction in other people's lives, or if it's something that is great that you want to still continue doing, and if it makes you happy, then continue doing it.
I think, look, there is a space for gossip. To be honest, there's a space for Musa Kaula in this world. There's a lot of really positive content that he shares. A lady was looking fly at an event, he'll post that. Someone just signed a new deal with what, he'll post that. But it's some of the negative story. Yeah.
He does a lot of those types of positive stories. But anyway, I haven't seen Musa Dad do any positive stories.
No, he's definitely
just me.
He's definitely got a lot of positive content.
Maybe it's because I haven't been on Twitter for like almost 6 months now.
But it's just taking a step back. And like I said, it's not just for Umusa, you know. Umusa's got his own stories about potentially how he murdered an ex-lover. I don't know if it's ever been verified. that he was in prison or he is in prison. I'm not sure. He also runs a lot of Twitter spaces where people gossip. He invites people to come on. I know I jumped on one of them when they were speaking about Saul joining Kaya FM. And I was like, all of us are trying to make money. All of us are just trying to win. Saul hasn't left podcast and chill. We all need to celebrate him and protect him and whatever. And I remember Musa DM'd me on Twitter saying, thanks for jumping on the space. Please jump on more in future. And I said, no, not a problem. Thank you very much. Saul was on that space as well. And he was like, no, thanks to the Black Pen for what he had to say. And I appreciate it. So there can be good things that we can do on platforms. But we just need to take a step back. Him, anyone who's trying to be like him, and then the rest of us who become complicit in some of the damage. There's an amazing episode of a series called Black Mirror on Netflix.
Beautiful, beautiful series. I've checked it out.
The title is Hated in the Nation. And it chronicles, I'm going to give a summary. I'm not going to explain the episode. But it chronicles the danger of social media and how, exactly to what you're saying, you might think, njoba sishawa umuntu la, mob justice, I mean, angafaka impama. But impama yakho nenyawula lona nokukhahlela kwalo combined is what killed the person. So tomorrow when they are looking for the perpetrators that killed the person, now impama yakho gets involved in that. So when the person falls into depression, commits suicide, when the family loses their jobs, their business deals, when we destroy society, you will have also been one of the people that were there. And when the ripple effect comes back, and this is what I've tried to explain to politicians and corrupt tenderpreneurs. It's nice to laugh and whatever. I got that in a see. Every little bribe you pay a traffic cop, every little time you do this, collectively, all of that is what's destroying the country. All of that is actually why we have this country. And the day your car hits a pothole, the day you don't have electricity, it's because now there's something you did. So we all just need to take a step back and be a bit more considerate of how we handle ourselves on the internet and on social media.
Good to see you, man.
Thank you so much. I can't.
Oh, God, you're cool.
Thank you.
Stop saying you're cool. I'm cool, right?
I'm looking forward to spending more time with Leeroy. I'm not really sure about Mihlali. More Leeroy as the outie and as someone who's in business because we love business and entrepreneurs. I'm hoping that himself, some of his network, other young hustlers out there will become more vocal and start telling their stories. I think there's a gap in the South African market for, in particular, tenderpreneurs to tell their stories. I think there's a lot to learn for people about how to get business, how government processes work, ungaholi, making dumb decisions like blowing cash on girls and cars and then you're broke tomorrow. Omashonisa, people that threaten your lives, some of the people that kill each other in the tender game, using tender money to then go and build other businesses on the side. I think there's a lot. We speak to crypto guys about Gray. There used to be also Sandile shares in Forex. I think it would be pretty awesome to start getting stories from some of the tenderpreneurs. Some of the guys who are legit business people and who just supply government and other spaces. And then some of the people who maybe are still in or who have left ababeshai corruption and ukuthi sizofunda from them where they maybe did things wrong so that we can all learn and do better.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I'd love to learn from those types of stories as well. It's been incredible, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode next week, Monday. Have a great week. Start getting ready for that September short pen. Little flip-flop, makapa lona, kamo wat babang batlo shapa di spring cleaning, batlo penta din true, your pendua, ama fence
spring cleaning.
Let's go pull spring cleaning. We love you guys. We'll see you on the next episode.
Virtual Mkhukhu, man. We're out.
VM, like, share, subscribe. Love you guys. Peace.
This is the Hustler's Corner.